we forgot to mention it in the main cast, so I just wanted to throw up this at the beginning. We are having Loki trivia this week for trivia night. Wednesday nights, Stranded Panda TV on Twitch. So go over there, and we're doing Loki trivia. And on top of all the other prizes we give away, we're also giving away a really cool set of Loki horns. Who's the Etsy store that we got those from?
It's Robert Monroe, and his store is Legacy Shop NY. All one word on Etsy. It's all for a good cause.
Yeah, he gives the proceeds to charity. Building foster homes, correct?
Yep, like Marvel themed foster homes for kids in New York and California. Super cool.
So check out the Etsy shop, but we're giving away a set of Loki horns, 3D printed Loki horns for cosplay. You have to come to both weeks, this week and next week. We're doing episodes 1 through 3 trivia this week and episodes 4 through 6 of Loki trivia next week. So Wednesday night, 7:30, twitch.tv/strandedpandatv. Yeah. And now the show.
Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing Loki, feedback from the whole season, the entire thing, the whole kit and caboodle, all of the other things that are the same phrase.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
And in our producer chair, we have the lovely Ashley Coffin. How you doing, Ash?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys?
Oh, so good.
So good.
I've slept. I finally got to sleep this weekend.
Congratulations.
Like once.
I can't hear congratulations without hearing Bezos. Sorry.
I think she can't say it without saying it.
Oh, you know it.
So before we get started today, I wanted to plug a thing for everybody to do for us. If you could, since we're your favorite podcasters and all that, if you go to podcastawards.com, we have been submitted or added to the open nominations. If you go to podcastawards.com, all one word, .com, you can go to the nominations area and you can nominate us for People's Choice and for TV and Film. Our name, the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, is in there. You just click that, make a quick account, nominate once at some time before the end of July, before July 31st, and that helps to get us into the running for the actual voting.
I want a trophy.
We might. Maybe. You never know.
Well, we are a small independent podcast, so it's really rad that someone nominated us to begin with, and the more people who do it would be really cool to be involved or nominated at all. So thanks for whoever did that, and it'd be awesome if you guys.
It's like a surreal thing.
Yeah, for sure. To be on those lists with all those other podcasts and stuff. So yeah, please go to the like you said, People's Choice and TV and Film. Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, podcastawards.com. That's the
podcastawards.com.
All right. Yeah, let's come on, pandas. Rally
pandas.
Rally.
Panda
hey,
force.
Y'all.
I need you to boot and rally. All right.
Speaking of Loki, let's get some feedback.
Let's do it.
Charlie Ward, one of our patrons, says, "Hey guys, what with Loki coming down to a close now and we've got a short content break, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate all you guys do. I live near London, England, and I've been listening to the cast since the early days of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's awesome, man.
Matt, Jeff, and now Ashley, you're so great at what you do, and as during the pandemic especially, I've been working really unsociable hours. The cast and all the great content has really kept me going. Anyway, I just wanted to put my appreciation out there. I know it's been tough for everyone, and you've kept us all going. P.S. Thank God we got a Kang reveal, and it wasn't another #Mephisto moment.
Hey.
Peace. I don't know what you're talking about. Mephisto's there. He's been there all along. Mephisto all along.
He's there.
That is incredibly sweet of you, Charlie, to say. We love making this podcast and love interacting with the community, and it's super rad that it was helpful to you in your time of unsociable hours. That is definitely how I use podcasts as well. They're basically my friends when I can't see my friends.
That's a good way to put it.
Oh, for sure. I'm a huge podcast listener long before I ever made them. It's why I started podcasting. So I totally get it. So thanks, Charlie. That's really sweet.
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't need friends. Just slot in for real friends. I cut all ties. That's not true. I'm going crazy. Help me.
I have a very select few. I'm very picky.
That's fair. That's fair. And you settled for us?
I just found you first, and I'm lazy.
That's fair. That's
She
fair.
can get on any podcast she wants to, but this is the one that
It was so easy.
she's already there. Doesn't want to put in the work.
That's not what I meant. I thought you meant when I started listening to the podcast. This isn't about me. Get to the feedback.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Amanda Reardon, another of our patrons, says, "Hi guys, I've been a religious listener since finding you guys during WandaVision, and I just finished the Loki finale, and oh my god, holy S stars!"
What's that mean? Oh, sorry, Matt.
I've had this theory since the first episode, but I felt it just had been confirmed last night. In WandaVision, we get the Nexus commercial, which we had no idea what it meant at the time, as an antidepressant. At the end, the slogan is Nexus, because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it? This is during episode 7, which is when Agatha traps Wanda in her basement and exposes who she really is, which then leads to Wanda releasing chaos magic, which then we know will lead to her searching for her kids in the multiverse. My theory is that this episode was a Nexus event that Agatha reveals herself, and this is a new branch that we saw at the end of the Loki finale. Or else the TVA would have shown up and reset it. Why else would they put a Nexus commercial in the episode? And I think they made it antidepressant because this is what will ultimately bring Wanda's happiness back, and we are now living in Wanda's world or universe. Sorry, it's kind of long, but I need to know what someone else thinks. Thanks, you guys are awesome. Amanda.
It's interesting to think about Nexus now that we know what they're calling Nexus events. What they're calling Nexus events. It's where the timeline branches off, because when we were doing WandaVision, we talked a lot about Nexus beings from the comics, which are beings that exist in all universes, right? Something like that.
It's beings that can't travel across universes. Mostly, they're kind of
they're like themselves,
like an anchor
in each multiverse or something, right?
They're like an anchor in the reality that, or in the universe that they were born in, and they can't travel to other ones. They can project themselves into other ones, but they cannot travel to the other ones.
Right. It seems like that is not going to be the case with this form of Nexus being. It's just Nexus is a totally different concept. So all of our theorizing in WandaVision about that seems to be off. But like, I definitely think that Nexus commercial, she's close. And to me, and like, she could be absolutely right that that's the moment where the Nexus like branched off. I have a feeling it's more like that was a warning. We know that Doctor Strange was supposed to appear in WandaVision.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a moment in that in that commercial where it says like consult your doctor or something.
Yeah.
And like I seriously think that looking back on it, some of those commercials might have been like Doctor Strange warning her, like
That's what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
All of the commercials were supposed to be
confirmed?
that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that was like a Feige or somebody that worked on the show. I can't remember which interview it was, but they definitely said that that was Doctor Strange, or that was originally supposed to be Doctor Strange reaching in, but like having Doctor Strange show up at the end would have like completely undercut her whole story as, you know, being the savior or whatever.
Right.
Or being the hero and, you know, making the decision on her own. So they ultimately cut that.
I hope we get some backstory on that, though. Like, I want to know how he knew.
I feel like it's crazy that he didn't know, right? Like, that's the question we kept asking during WandaVision was like, where is Doctor Strange in all this? You know what I mean?
Like, I need some answers.
Well, he was in Mephisto's realm fighting for the Richards family.
Trying to get the Fantastic Four out of there.
Yeah, I was trying to get...
So, moving on to Brianna Eastman sent us some female. She's one of our patrons.
Beastman! Her email starts, "Hey, Ash, Jeff and Matt.
Hey.
Hey.
Goff. Finally decided to join Patreon after listening to the cast since January. I have absolutely enjoyed everything y'all have put out and love the Panda community so much. Anyway, I love Jeff's theory. It's a good sentence. We'll stop there. I like it.
Good
Sorry.
feedback.
She said, I love Jeff's theory about Kang on the tower and the guard dog / prison bit. Just for reference, this email was sent before the finale aired. I'm hoping for a glimpse of Red / Mephisto in a prison cell as well. I was too. I've also kept seeing a theory on how each episode of Loki has been a representation of each Infinity Stone with colors and themes. Episode 1, Orange Hues, we find Loki does have a soul stone. There was, breaking off for that for a second, there was that one part when he was dropping through the elevators where there was looked like the metal detector, but it like took an image of his temporal aura. And the guy very clearly said, like, please confirm you're not a fucking robot. You have a face and what, a lot of cultures would consider a soul. Like, specifically a soul.
Right. You, like, basically see his aura or his soul in that episode. That definitely goes with that. So, episode 2.
Episode 2 has Red Hues. He's questioning what's real and who to trust. Reality Stone. Episode 3, they're on Lamentus, which is just entirely purple. Power Stone shows their power throughout the show. Episode 4 has yellow tones. Loki changes Mobius's mind. Mind Stone. Episode 5 has a whole lot of green. Loki sees himself at different times in his life through the variants. If that is correct, the last episode would be the Space Stone. Thoughts?
They definitely had blue hues all over. Jonathan Majors looked like when he first appears, and through that entire scene, there's blue lighting on his face, which I think was a reference to his comics origin.
There's a lot of blue and purple.
Yeah,
he's
for
got,
sure.
The purple outer layer cowl, whatever,
and then a green
blue face,
shirt,
and then green shirt under it.
Yeah, very much the Immortus / Kang look. But so my thought on this, I think. Because the Infinity Stones were such a big deal for so long, we have these theories popping up everywhere for everything. I do think that it is interesting that those 6 colors appear in the lighting of the show. Yeah, but like all of the things feel a little stretched to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're
What's our
reaching
color tagline? It's like you always make that comment about the colors. Like there's only so many.
Yeah, there's only so many. I was designing a board game this week, and I realized I had done Infinity Stone colors, and I was like, because there's only so many colors. Like you got 6. I need 6 colors, and I was like, well, let's see, blue, purple, orange, red, and then I realized, oh, well, I'll say it's a reference to the Infinity Stones.
Good call. But episode 5, there was green. If you remember the. When Mobius was like arguing with himself about whether or not alligator Loki Gator is a Loki, and classic Loki was like, well, he's green, isn't he? Like, why is that what you're focusing on? He's got the freaking horns coming out.
Those horns look like a little hat with a strap, though.
They were. How else do you get horns on a gator?
I don't know. If they were coming out of his head, I'd be like, Loki Gator. He is a liar.
The rest of them had a hat on.
It's not a Loki.
The rest of them had hats. They were wearing hats. That's a Loki feature. You're green and you wear a hat. And the hat may or may not have horns. Kid Loki had the little bitty horns, right? And the wings on the side.
Mm-hmm. That's more of a crown.
Yeah, kind of.
It's not a hat.
Well, he was the king.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was his
And
realm.
Loki's is more of a helm than a hat, but we won't get picky. We can move on.
You are nitpicking so hard.
Yeah, sure. We won't get picky. Too late.
Yeah. Oh, look at you getting picky.
I think it's definitely intentional that these colors were in the episode, but I do think that the description of the various colors seem a little like you could make them fit any episode kind of thing, Mm-hmm. Like someone's mind was changed. Well, someone's mind's changed in almost every episode,
Yeah. Yeah, like, that's not a big deal.
It'd be one thing if it was like really specific to a certain character or what they were going through. It just seems a little haphazard the way that the current descriptions that that Brianna sent. But I love the theories. I love to theorize about this because sometimes you find them and they just like work perfectly. And you're like, oh shoot, and clearly you did predict that this one was going to be blue. So who am I to say no? But
Yeah.
You know what? That episode where there were a lot of minds changing and a lot of yellow hues. If you think about it, that was also when B-15 got woken up.
yeah, it's true. Their minds are being
I'm so ready to move away from the Infinity Stones. Am I the only one who's just like done with it?
Well, I think it's like it's the only major through line theme of the last set of stuff. Like everything that we've had up so far has all been focused on the Infinity Stones.
Right.
So like it's kind of like, people are expecting that kind of focus to continue rather than like we're done with them. Let's focus on the next thing. And obviously the next thing is time travel and the multiverse and time stream and what counts as self when, all of these branches exist, like who's the real Kang, right? That sort of thing. So I think it's going to be a focus on, question of self and like who's a real person, what counts as a real person, like that's not a real person because they're from a different universe and they don't exist in this universe, but they do exist in that universe. That sort of thing, like what makes Wanda's kids real.
Right.
So that is my thought on what the focus will be. There's not going to be like a set of MacGuffins, so to speak.
Possibly. The idea of the multiversal war also ties to that well, where you're like, the one who remains described it as like all these other guys, they're vicious, they're bad, they're killers, but I'm the one that's pure of heart. Right. It's just basically because he was fighting for his universe, but they were also fighting for their universes.
Oh, yeah. I don't trust him at all.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also like that idea that you're talking about where who is a real person and who is valuable and all those sorts of questions. Really tie in well with the idea of this multiversal war, and we have some other feedback that I'm sure we'll get to later about like what does it matter, because if there's an infinite number of Peter Parkers, what does it matter if a Peter Parker dies?
Right.
Every Peter Parker is sacred.
Right. I'm pro Peter Parker.
Try saying that 3 times fast. So another of our patrons, OA4, says, Loki finale feedback! It's got 2 exclamation marks, that's why I had to yell.
Woo!
What a ride! I understand some people's criticisms about exposition and setup. However, I have to point out some things that for me heavily outweigh any and all critiques about the episode. Jonathan Majors' performance had me hanging on every single word. If this is what we get from him going forward in the MCU, I'm somehow even more excited than I already was. Any ideas for an Iron Lad casting now? I'm hoping we get him along with Kang in Quantumania. Scott Lang having to deal with his daughter aging 5 years in what seems to him like 5 hours, plus her possibly dating a boy destined to become a supervillain, just sounds like the perfect example of classic dad tropes extrapolated by sci-fi. The moral dilemma and the conflict that sprouted from it were impeccable. Sylvie was never going to accept a position where she would do to countless other children what was done to her, and Loki willing to hear He Who Remains out, but for vastly different reasons than episode 1 Loki. Chef's kiss. OE4, I think you mean French kiss there?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll cut it off there. Take care, guys, and I'll see you for What If.
Love it. I agree completely with OA4. This episode had a ton, and I love. We've talked about it before, but I love the idea of Iron Lad and Cassie, which is a comic book relationship that we should explain a little bit. But yeah, in the comics, I guess spoiler alert if you're worried about the comics being a spoiler, which they aren't always. But Iron Lad dates Cassie, sort of. They have like a little relationship going. And it turns out that Iron Lad is an early version of Kang, and so it's possible that that's where that will intersect with Quantumania, which sounds super fun.
I'm just so excited.
Me too. Paul Rudd as like the upset dad, like
cleaning his multiversal shotgun.
Yes, exactly.
At the table,
sitting on the porch cleaning his like whatever his shrink discs or whatever.
I don't see Paul Rudd with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's why it's a multiversal shotgun. It's not like a real shotgun. It's like
There's no
something
violence.
else. Yeah, it's something else that the prop
He's more of
department
like
has
a
thrown
hey
together.
man kind of guy.
Oh my God. I want to see Paul Rudd driving the two of them to a dance or something and have it be an exact mirror of the scene in Spider-Man.
Keaton? Yeah.
With Keaton. And I want Paul Rudd in that Keaton role.
That's
so
a beautiful
bad.
idea. That's a great idea. Oh man, especially if like he's trying to figure out it, like literally could figure out the Kang thing while he's traveling there and have it from Paul Rudd's perspective, realizing there's actually a villain in his backseat and like having to deal with that would be fun, man.
That would be so good.
That's such a fun idea.
And I love how that kind of like ties into the whole multiverse thing of like this same event happened, but with different people.
Did you guys hear the story that I guess it's kind of come out this week on Twitter, and then it was also on Jimmy Kimmel Live this week that Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd story.
The massage story?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. Apparently Seth Rogen went in to get a massage. He laid there for an hour getting massaged, and he like thought the massage was a little weird, but like didn't really question it. And until the masseuse started like grabbing his face and like pinching his cheeks and like just giving him a face massage, which at first he was like, I'll ride with it. I'll go with it. Seth Rogen's just laying on the table getting massaged. And then he like, finally he hears someone laughing and he opens his eyes and it's Paul Rudd like squeezing his cheeks. And
he committed.
So
he stayed in there until he turned around. That's
what's so funny. He went in. He apparently Paul Rudd convinced the masseuse to let him go in instead of and massage him as a joke, and he thought that Seth Rogen would realize it immediately, and instead Seth Rogen never realized it, and Paul Rudd committed for a full hour massaging the guy. That is beautiful.
His forearms have got to be shot.
It's in Marvel.
Right.
No, he's in Marvel shape. He's fine.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
Sorry, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Good point.
Like I try to work out some of the rocks on my wife's shoulder, and like I can't. Like my forearms are dead after like 3 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what to do with these.
Like even if you're in Marvel shape, those little finger muscles get tired fast.
I can give somebody I can do it. I'm trained.
Nice, she's trained.
Ashley's like, I do acupuncture with the nails. I'm just.
It's my own special treatment.
I just rip your heart out.
You leave my table bleeding, but it's good. It's
you don't
good.
feel pain after you're done, which is cool.
I just knock you out until you had a great massage. Are you back?
Oh yeah.
You don't even remember it? Wow, it must have been really good.
You fell asleep pretty early.
Sniff this.
Oh God.
Anyway, let's move on.
Does this smell like chloroform to you?
Yeah.
The good old chloroform massage.
Chloroform.
This is a new oil that I've been testing out. You gotta put it on your face.
We call it chloroform. Inhale deeply.
Eric Bailey, another of our patrons, says, howdy there, MCU Podtastic team. I had a few questions about the new, quote-unquote, TVA we saw at the end of the show. Is this another TVA from an entirely separate timeline where Kang was always revealed as the progenitor? Or is this the same TVA without the wool of the Timekeeper's charade thrown over their collective eyes? I feel like Loki in that moment when he finds Mobius in B-15 is coming to terms with just how quickly Kang entrenched himself by going back to the origin of the TVA on the once sacred timeline and installing himself as the sole figurehead. This would only be a small deviation from the events that previously took place to create the TVA, but instead masking it as keeping order, quote unquote. Kang uses it to ensure he always ends up on top, much in the way benevolent Kang did, with less obfuscation about his intentions. If the TVA is redundant across multiple timelines, where are all these TVAs hanging out? Did Sylvie know there would be another TVA to send Loki to, or did she think she was sending him back to the TVA they grew to know and love? My sponge has been thoroughly wrung out. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Eric from the Tree Place.
I personally hope it's the same TVA. I don't know. It makes sense either way, but I personally hope it's the same TVA because I think it's going to get confusing as hell if we have multiple TVAs fighting for the multiple timelines. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
I mean, he doesn't know. They don't know who they are, or they didn't know who he was.
Right. So, like,
I don't know how it could be. He couldn't have changed. It's not Back to the Future rules.
Well, it's not Back to the Future rules in the main universe, but like, if it exists in the quantum realm and time works differently there, and can you have a branch of a TVA? Can the quantum realm branch if we know that's how they travel between universes?
Yeah. I thought that was the whole point about it. Like, he's like, it's already starting to branch. I thought that like infinite branches were happening as they were talking.
Saw them.
Yeah. So
they were.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
The question is, where is the TVA? And like, is it in one of those branches that's branching, or is it outside of all branches? Because we see them looking at a monitor where they're looking at the timeline. So they don't exist within the timeline unless that's what the red line means. Like, if the red line means that timeline is now drifting so far that it's leaving our purview. It's going out to its own. It'll have its own TVA now. I don't know.
Like, the red lines are their jurisdiction of the time stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair. Like, hey, get your timeline in order. It's cutting into ours.
Exactly.
I mean, I can totally see like a multiversal war where different TVAs are serving different Kangs and they're all fighting for whatever, but at the same time, that sounds very convoluted.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen.
It starts to fall apart when you put too much thought into it, if I'm being honest. Because, like, if it exists outside of the timeline, like, so does the Citadel at the end of time. So they should exist in the same space unless they're in different dimensions. But then, like, what is a dimension? Like, we don't know all of the rules of physics of the verse that the MCM, I guess, is in now. So,
I loved hearing the news story this week that they had a meeting to decide on the multiverse rules.
Well, they need to. We need just a little bit of direction here.
They probably should have done that before now, but like, I still am glad they're having those meetings.
I don't think it's a little bit of direction that they need.
Yeah, it's pretty important.
At this point, there's big questions that need to be hammered out. And we're asking all of them. Come on, Feige, cut the check.
Like you said, if you look at it closely, it starts to you get a little fuzzy and like, does that make sense? I'm not sure. But if you don't, if you're the average listener or watcher who's just like, oh, I'm enjoying this show, and oh, of course, he went back and changed the TVA. That makes total sense. But it's like, does it?
Does it?
I don't know. I don't know I don't know how the rules work.
Right.
And
we need some strict rules here, people.
I need them to like put out a book.
Yeah, just a little direction.
Well, here's my big question is like Ravonna and Mobius, like they have said that they had, or Ravonna said that they had eons of friendship. Mm-hmm. Relative to who?
Right.
Like, relative to what point? Is it relative to them? Are they immortal? Were those friendship memories just implanted in them? Like, I don't know all the rules, so I can't make any suppositions.
It seems like there's some sort of loop is happening for some of the TVA agents. Either they're having their minds wiped. I heard some theorizing this week. New Rockstars had a video about like, there's like 3 rings on the there are rings where he left his cup off of the coaster,
right?
In that one episode, they're theorizing that those are previous versions, and it's almost like counting the rings is like different loops that this thing has gone through, and he doesn't remember leaving the rings because that's from a different time that he went through this process,
right?
And like very similar to Matrix, where you go back in, Neo has to choose to go back in and repeat the cycle. And he says in the Matrix, he's like, this is the 6th time we've destroyed Zion,
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Is this new version of the TVA just like a new Kang won, a different Kang won this time. So this is the version of the TVA that's now controlling time.
Did they all get like reset, like back to the like Men in Black stuff? Like they're just like flash, start over.
Well, that's a great actually that's a great thought.
Oh,
like we've been saying they have to be doing some sort of reset because Owen Wilson clearly doesn't remember certain things. Plus, they were all plucked out of the timeline and given different lives and different TVA responsibilities. So like they have to have mind control or memory wiping of some sort, right? And they all forgot their lives except Sylvie has the ability to show them their lives, right? So what if Kang didn't go back and change time at all? He just went back and wiped all their memories and changed certain elements of the TVA.
Like he's like, here's a new version of what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, like the He Who Remains, this particular guy that we saw, he seems to be like he keeps claiming that he's benevolent. He weaponized Goliath and he ended the multiversal war and like, he's kept things in line since then and he's very old, but we didn't see at the end what happened to Sylvie or him after she stabbed him. All we know is he said, "See you soon," and kind of winked at her and then died.
Right.
And then it went to Loki and like that was the ending or whatever. The thought that I'm having now is that like there's likely several Kangs at this point now that the multiverse is allowed to branch back out and those other Kangs are able to show up. But like, what if the next season just begins with like a few Kangs walking through the front door of the Citadel as like yes, I'm home finally, sort of thing. And she's like still got her sword in the one that she just killed, and she turns around, there's these guys.
Oh no. He did say see you soon.
Yeah. Because somebody's got to come back and take control, right? Or somebody is going to, and maybe this He Who Remains is just the one that was able to wrest control from the others long enough to establish this order that he saw fit. Like he won once and then won a few more times and then like, all right, I got it down. And then that's, he kept saying like, we crossed the threshold, or not kept saying, but he said we crossed the threshold, and like that's the point where he no longer knew what was coming. So he had seen this loop before.
Right.
He had seen the loop before and experienced that loop before. And he lived 1,000 lifetimes, like he said.
Or he left himself information
or he left himself
from
notes,
previous
right?
loops. Right. Like like maybe those scripts are literally like notes from his previous loops that he's got books full of notes. Maybe the Citadel is like where Kang stores his information for his next loop. When he goes back there, he learns from his last time he did this, and he's
correct.
And like I could
that's
see
possible.
Loki season 2 ends with like the same scene with him with a different plan or something, slightly different. He's like, okay, now I'm across the threshold again. I dodged your sword. I used my temp pad to dodge your sword. Now I'm doing something else.
Yep. So that's the thought is like, we just keep getting this one version of him that keeps coming in. Man, I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules.
I wanted to point out a couple things. We've gotten a bunch of people writing in about it, so I wanted to make sure we addressed it. The "see you soon," you guys have probably seen it online too, but we haven't mentioned it on the cast, and a lot of people keep writing in. You guys never mentioned this. At the end of episode 4, when they destroy the timekeepers and realize they're animatronic, right?
Yeah.
And they die. As they die, you hear the words "see you soon" really whispered under the audio track. Have you guys heard this?
No.
Yeah, it's there. It's like, "see you soon." Like, and that's the last thing he says before he, before he dies, which I thought was really, really cool. And a lot of people keep writing in telling us, please mention that on the cast. I'm like, sorry. Just been talking about everything else.
Sorry. There's just so much. I mean, hey, let's link that back to Endgame when the last thing that Nat said to Cap was "see you soon" and gave him a wink.
So sad. So sad.
I'm sorry to hurt us. I didn't mean to.
How dare you?
I didn't think it would be that sad.
All right, let's see what Aaron G had to say.
Aaron G says, hello. Sorry. Hello, Ashley and others. Love to everyone on this podcast, but seriously, Thirst Queen Ashley deserves top billing. I'm a newer listener.
Thank you.
I'm a newer listener. I found your show while looking for WandaVision theories, and I'm so glad to now be hooked on you guys. I'm curious for your thoughts on the pacing of Loki. To be honest, I thought Loki was the weakest of the 3 Disney Plus shows. It felt so rushed. I didn't believe Avengers 2012 Loki becoming good that quickly, or him trusting Mobius and Sylvie so soon. And who wouldn't have wanted more time in the void to get to know the other Lokis better, including the best variant, Alligator Loki? While WandaVision and Fatwas definitely felt excellently paced, I think Loki needed another episode or 2 in order to slow things down and make character development for Loki, Sylvie, and Mobius feel believable. Even this ending felt rushed and underwhelming to see the multiverse free as fast as possible. One stab and it's done? Though the worst of Marvel is still better than most other fiction out there, it's disappointing to feel that a show twice as long as any movie was rushed. Were you all really okay with how the series turned out? I hope season 2 can smooth out the pacing. Thanks for your wonderful insight on all things Marvel. I may be a new listener, but I'm excited to stick around for the long run now. Even when I disagree, since you all seem to be singing the praises of the finale when I just felt meh, you're wonderful to listen to. Love you 3000 in every branching timeline. Aaron.
It's funny how many of, we get the same amount of those for WandaVision and for Fatwas. People being like, I didn't like this one that much, or this was my least favorite, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is saying the pacing is specifically he thought was bad with this, and the pacing was better on the others. Like, I definitely get where he's coming from. We talked about it a lot in the first few episodes where, this is 2012 Loki. They need to do something to make him likable. They need to do something to change him. I found him loving Sylvie as a motivation a little rushed, but him changing and caring, I guess I found the caring for Mobius a little rushed too, but him changing I didn't find rushed because they took that whole first episode to break him down, show him his death, show him his failure, show him how powerless he was. And I think that sets him up for the whole, he's looking for something to attach himself to.
He's looking for something to trust and something to latch onto to build back up.
It's kind of going through good therapy where you finally admit to yourself who you're, like some of the motivations you have, some of the thoughts you have, and he's been pushing people away and using his glorious purpose attitude to overexert how confident he truly was, and he admits that it's weakness. I'm weak, and I act that way.
Such a heartbreaking line.
Yeah. So sometimes when you go through those sorts of things where you really have those breakthroughs, and Mobius knew how to break him down, which I still theorize that Mobius has done this to 15 Lokis, or 80 Lokis, whatever.
Mobius is just the Loki breaker.
Yeah. This is the whole function.
Yep. We brought him in because he's the best one to break Loki. Man, that's his glorious purpose. Everyone has a glorious purpose.
Yeah.
And that's his.
It really challenges the idea of free will, if this guy, he who remains, if he is putting all these things in place and this is how he's doing everything, or this is how, he has deemed it all to be, you think you have free will within those confines, but do you?
Yeah, what is free will if there are confines?
Right. Maybe Mobius is the best one to break Loki down, to get Loki to the point to where he needs to be in order to make this series happen the way that it did. But what if he, I want to see all the other iterations too. I want to see other people trying to deal with Loki.
I think something we have to, this show puts Loki in a new light. In Avengers 2012, when Loki is standing on the building watching the Chitauri destroy New York, I believe it's his brother that's look what you're doing. Look at this. Is this what you really want?
Yep.
And Loki looks scared.
Yeah.
He looks like a dog who caught the car and doesn't know what to do with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame he immediately stabs him, but for a second there, you see it. the humanity.
He has that little flash of being like, oh shit,
Too late, man. I'm already on the train.
I did
Right.
it bad.
So what we're realizing is Loki always had these sort of like tendencies toward good. He was raised by the Asgardians, like he's raised by the king, like he was raised to be a king. It's just that he always had this sort of inferiority complex, and he overcompensated through trickery and through deception. And like once that's all broken down in that first episode, all that you're left with is the Loki who like really does want to be loved by his brother and really does want to find connection with people. And like he just never felt like he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that takes us to old man, classic Loki, the Richard E. Grant Loki, where he said, I just missed my brother.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if he missed me too.
So hard. I'm so sad we didn't get that scene.
Oh God. Like Phoenix King Thor, or, old man Thor, old King Thor,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call him.
Did you see the Richard E. Grant article that was going around this week where Richard E. Grant said he wants a spin-off with him and Alligator Loki?
No, I didn't see that.
He was quoted as saying, he's like, it writes itself. I'm the only one who understands him. Like he talks to only me. Like it's that classic like Chewie Han relationship. He's like, get on writing it. It's wonderful.
Yep. And oh God, there was one post by Richard E. Grant that I saw where like he had posted pictures of himself in costume and said like, my dad always used to say, like, why do you want to be an actor? Do you really want to like dress up and run around in tights your whole life?
Yeah,
And
it was so
like,
funny.
He was
I saw
like,
that.
if he could see me now.
It's so good.
This is an incredibly respected actor who is now like, he's now
In his
happy to be running
pajamas.
around in tights.
Well,
Yeah,
he's a
it's so
stage
good.
theater, so he's always been in tights doing Shakespeare and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is wonderful because when he's first shown in that first scene, he looks
Adorable.
it looks adorable, but he looks schlubby, and it's like not flattering at all. It's like it is intentionally a visual gag, and I love it. I love that this like respected actor can embrace the sort of like comedy that is like the silliness of being in those tights. And
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
like the Peter B. Parker,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like those tights are his sweatpants.
Man, this really did take a lot from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like that episode really did.
Yeah, it did.
And to answer Aaron's other question about this feeling rushed, it's always going to feel rushed. I feel like it's still 6 hours. We got 4 or 5 hours worth of movie instead of 2 hours, and I'm happy to get what we got.
It's never enough.
It's never going to be enough. It's always going to some certain moments are going to feel rushed because we don't see every moment of these characters' lives. I do feel like they could do things like they could have implied that Loki went on a couple of missions with Mobius or something. You know what I mean? Imply some things, do some little montages and things to make it seem like more time had passed.
Yeah.
'Cause Loki even says in the last episode, he's like, how long has it been since New York? Has it been weeks? Has it been months?
I don't even know how long it's been since I've been at the TVA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do think with a few little tweaks, they could have made it feel more earned that he cared for Mobius or that he had changed as much as he did. But
Yeah.
it didn't bother me greatly. And as much as I love the Loki episode where there's 6 Lokis, it's amazing, and it left me wanting more, but that's kind of what you want, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. I don't want to be tired of that.
Yeah, I don't want to be tired of that dynamic. That dynamic was so fun, and I could rewatch it over and over and enjoy it.
I think that's why they told us so early on there was going to be 2 seasons.
Yeah, probably. I just need to know how Throg came to be and whether or not Loki Gator is related,
That'd be weird.
And God, ever since that episode aired, I have every time my daughter every time my daughter does her little I'm 12 when something doesn't go her way, I'll lean over and be like, that's alligator for liar, and growling at the same time.
Aw.
And it always makes somebody in the room laugh. Sometimes it's her.
I think you're gonna be like, mostly just me.
Mostly me.
Mostly me. And that's what's important. Anyway, Jordan Shelley sent us an email. One of our patrons says, "Hey, Matt, Ash, and Jeff." Saving the best for last, I guess. I just signed up for Patreon, and weirdly, it felt so good. I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner. I feel so much more connected to the community now that I support your amazing work. Truly, thank you for doing what you do. So, 2 thoughts about the Loki finale I'm wondering if y'all shared. 1, do you remember in the scene where Loki and Sylvie first enchant Eliath and they look at the mansion in the distance? There was some sort of vessel flying away. Fast forward to the season finale, and during the initial sequence where the camera zooms in or zooms out from one of the universes, a spaceship zooms by. Coincidence? Or perhaps is this connected to that vessel leaving? I don't know. 2nd, Miss Minutes. I'm having trouble following the continuity of the episode's premise. She shows up to offer a deal. We're led to believe he who remains wants them to accept this deal. But when they get up to see him, we find he wants nothing of the sort, actually wants to be killed or removed from power. It seems like Miss Minutes is not on the same page as he who remains. Did you guys get that sense? Who is Miss Minutes answering to? Thanks, guys. Love you 3000.
We talked about this on our last episode. The fact that there's 2 different offers on the table in that last episode. I don't know if did we discuss the 4 statues?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't remember discussing them.
There were 3 statues that were standing and 1 that had been broken into the floor.
I think there's more going on, and it's weird because it seems so deep and lore filled that like I really don't know how we're ever going to find out what all this means. I mean, I guess in a season 2 of Loki possibly, but how will that all intersect with who Kang is for the broader MCU? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it all feels very like there's just a lot, and it does seem kind of like maybe there was some sort of falling out. Like there's even a moment when he's telling the story, then he says something about then we all like came together to bring an end to the war, and he actually shows 4 of him on the desk. Like seemed like they're working together possibly.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be the 4 statues. But then one of them has fallen over. So what does the one fallen over mean? Is like
it's probably him. I don't trust him. I think everything he did was a lie. I think he wanted her to kill him. I'm telling you, it's the Star Wars trope. He knew what was going to happen.
Strike me down.
When somebody tells you so many times that they're being serious about something, they're lying. And he was like, I swear, I don't know what's happening, Pastor. He was like, all like saying it very nonchalant. Like, these are 2 gods. Why are you talking in like slangy New York talk? I don't know. I thought all of it seemed very fishy. You know what I mean?
I thought that was all good choices personally. Like the way he spoke and everything was awesome. I wouldn't have wanted him to be like
I'm not no
Asgardian whatever flourish.
I'm just saying it's weird that's how he's trying to convince them to like believe me. Like this has never happened before. I'm like, oh, I don't believe you. I just don't trust people. That's just me.
Yeah. No, that's all it is.
That's the thing is like, what was he trying to get them to do?
Kill him.
He wasn't. Was he?
Because he was bored. I believe that part.
I
okay,
agree,
you just want to disagree with everything I say all the time, Matt.
was killing him freeing him to like go do something else, like make different decisions next time? Was he just going to end back? Like he says, I'm just going to end back up here again. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't.
I don't know. Maybe convincing the 2 of them to take over would have broken the cycle. Like maybe this is just part of that 6 cycle that he keeps coming back to, that because the time is circular or whatever. Because he had the time stream was around that place. Like he said, once I isolated our time stream, and it was a ring around the Citadel. So like it kind of says to me, symbolically, like it's just a big loop. Like time is just a big loop, keeps coming back, and that may be why he's said like he's lived 1,000 lifetimes. He's done this over and over again, whatever. It seems like it keeps coming back around, and like he's got this ring there. So like maybe breaking that cycle is what, he could do by putting them in charge. I don't know.
I have no idea. And it really does feel like there's something deeper going on.
I think he knew that was never going to work.
I got it. He automated the rest of the TVA, right? They're all robots. He automated the timekeepers. They were robots. Fucking Chuck E. Cheese lookalike shit. He was going to put these two people in place in the Citadel to take care of the automation, or like to take care of doling out the sacred timeline or whatever, right? Trimming the branches. He was automating his job. He just wants to go retire on a beach.
But she stabbed him in the chest instead.
Yeah.
He seemed pretty happy about it.
Yeah, he's like, all right, see you soon. We'll do this again. We're going to do this again next time.
It just depends on how much you believe him, and I don't know. I really don't. Like, I don't know if this is just another deception on top of all the other deceptions, or if this is another, or if he's actually being honest. He says he's being honest in that scene, but, he also says he's benevolent, which I don't believe at all. People keep, in the feedback, a lot of people refer to him as the benevolent Kang, and I'm like, there's just no evidence of that.
The way that the TVA is currently set up, how does Loki get back to Sylvie? Or how does he get, how does he align things to get back to where he wants to be? Which is where Sylvie is, right? Does Loki then become the person who is making the calls on what to prune? Does he prune Sylvie early? Does he force all the things that he thought was just the TVA being, a tyrannical organization controlling the timeline? Does he force all of those things to happen over again, in this loop, so that he can get back with Sylvie to the point of getting to the Citadel?
Well, the problem is there's no loop this time.
That we know of.
Right. Like, the circle that you're talking about at the beginning, that's no longer the way it's shaped. Now it's just like
that circle is still there. It's also got a whole bunch of branches.
Right.
They got to fix that.
Yeah, forming their own things and intersecting with each other, and
there is a path where that loops back on itself while it's still branching. There is a path for that to happen.
Yeah, somewhere
in there. Like, is Loki going to be the one that's starting to prune the branches just so they can get that aligned and back to the Citadel? Oh man, I don't know.
It's too much. And what's going to happen in between?
It's like, stop.
Well, yeah, definitely stop. But what's going to happen in between the show, season 2, and now, because we have what 2 movies that might have to do with this in between there.
What are they going to do to affect the timeline? Yeah. Like, what are they going to do to affect the multiverse? Like, what if it's not Doctor Strange that has to solve it? What if it's Loki that solves it?
I'd like that.
And Doctor Strange is like, help me.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
I'd like
that a lot.
It's all bad.
He becomes our hero.
I like how you're giving Doctor Strange Muppet arms.
Help me. He's just like out at sea, like, oh no, help. So do you think that when Doctor Strange went, like, he looked forward in time with the time stone and he saw all these different possibilities, did they all end with the TVA showing up and pruning? And he's like, nope, that's the wrong one.
I don't know. He sure didn't say anything about it.
Nope.
Yeah, like, they show up and he's like, oh, rewind.
And Spider-Man messes me up too with the timeline.
What do you mean?
Because it's so far ahead of everything. And he's like, where's Doctor Strange? I was like, oh, he's not here right now. But it's just so far. Wasn't it like 6 months?
Wait, what are you talking about?
After Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's months and months after.
That was 6 to 8 months or something like that.
But the thing is, with the timeline, we can't think about it like that. Because the TVA is looking at the entirety of the timeline, and the Citadel is looking at the entirety of the timeline. So everything that's happening in his Loki is not happening at a certain time in the timeline. Mm-hmm. It is just happening at all the times. So anything that happened, like we could get variants and branches that are branching off from, I mean, this particular branch that Loki is from 2012. You know what I mean? So like, there could be branches from way back when, and like, so all this stuff that we're going to see, that these different timelines, they don't have to have happened after this show or whatever. Well, Jordan also mentioned becoming a patron, and I cannot have a better ad for becoming a patron than Jordan did. He said he feels more connected to the community now that he supports on Patreon. So thank you, Jordan. That's very sweet of you to say. And everyone else,
if you want to feel that connected,
if you want to feel more connected to the Panda community, no, that's super sweet of Jordan. And yeah, patreon.com/MCUcast if you want to become a patron. A lot of you guys did. We kind of gave the hard pitch last week, like, everybody, if you just do $1, and like a bunch of people went and gave $1. So thank you.
If everybody could just do $2.
Now it's 2.
Yeah, well, don't mention it. If it was 1 last time, they don't have to know that it's 2 this time. It's just, it's 2.
Gotcha.
Hit a couple more speed round style.
Because we're hitting an hour.
Alyssa Jane sent us an email. Holy shit, Jonathan Majors is a boss. His performance in that episode gave me glorious purpose. I was getting some legit Mad Hatter vibes from He Who Remains. We're all villains here. It was a total play on We're All Mad Here from Alice in Wonderland. Not to mention the Mad Hatter's obsession with tea time and the Queen of Hearts declaring him guilty of murdering time. So many time-centric parallels. I hope Feige lets Majors run wild all over Phase 4, playing different variants of this character, showcasing his redonkulous range.
Yeah.
I agree.
Alyssa.
You know, there was something that I read this past week that said that he was doing the voices of the timekeepers. Like, he was originally supposed to do the voices of the timekeepers.
Oh.
And like all of their 3 voices were just things that he was doing that were like ridiculous takes, and he was like making all kinds of crazy faces and shit like when he was recording for them. And because of what he was able to do with those 3 voices, they cast him as Kang.
Oh, really?
For Quantumania. Like, that is the story that I read. I don't know if it's legit. I don't remember where I read it.
Interesting that he was originally playing the voices of the timekeepers and he's been cast as Kang, because that makes me feel better, or like feel connected to that theory that originally, so we talked about the 4 statues and one of them being fallen. So like, what if those 4 statues are originally 4 Kangs that work together to create the Citadel, and now they live at the end of time, and his statue has fallen because he betrayed the 3 timekeepers, and now like the 3 timekeepers were the timekeepers that at some point he, murdered them and replaced them or something.
Murder.
I don't know. I wonder if we'll ever get that story, because that version of Kang is gone. Like, that version of He Who Remains is like, he's gone. Will we just have to like kind of assume what actually happened there, or will it have a like cyclic nature and we'll see that again?
I don't know, man. What if and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange Mom, and or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Hex. What if they fix the multiverse, collapse it all back down, and then Loki season 2 starts back up with that one single circular time stream?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Basically, it starts over. They just give us the same 6 episodes over again.
It is interesting. Usually at the end of the shows, they'll say, or the movies, they'll be like, Thor will return in the Avengers, or this person will return in that. This literally said Loki season 2, not like this or that other thing. But they lie to us, but they did say he's not coming back till season 2 if we're supposed to go by that.
Yeah, they didn't specifically say that he's coming back other than season 2.
Yeah, it was like Loki will return.
Right.
Yeah, Loki will return in Loki season 2.
They normally say that about the next thing they're going to be in. So I guess Loki season 2 may lead into Doctor Strange, which he's a.
Well, then we would be getting that show within a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, most shows appear about a year apart.
Oh yeah, most seasons
a full year.
About a year
they're
apart.
like a year. A full year would be. I mean, this comes out in May.
Yeah, if so, then we're looking at May, June of next year, and Doctor Strange Mom, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Hex, would already have come out.
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, also, this show was made and ready to release a while ago.
Yeah.
So it's possible they've already been working on season 2 and it will be ready in time to release right before Doctor Strange.
Well, no, I heard that the same director's not even coming back, so there's no way that they started. Unless they're just held on to that to not tell anybody.
Yeah, it's very possible they didn't.
They were just like, yeah, not coming back. Gotcha, bitch. Lie to me, Marvel.
they like to hold on to those kinds of like sort of negative stories because they don't want people to be like, whatever, I don't know. Oh, see, it's falling apart over there.
Yeah.
They want to wait till we're so excited about Kang that they can slip a story like that under the radar and we're like, doesn't matter that that's happening. Kang's here.
Right. Just give it all to Sam Raimi. It'll be fine.
Okay, let's hit like 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. First time writer-inner from Portugal here. Sophie sent us an email. Hey, pandas. Here's something I haven't heard you discussing about Loki, which is one of my biggest pet peeves with it. Why, oh, why was the title logo, that one with the various switching fonts, always that same black and white one? When the one in the trailers and all the other promo material is the one in color, and let's be honest, much cooler. I don't understand why they decided to use that old-looking one.
Oh, I love
Whenever it appears, it kind of takes me out of it, because in my opinion, everything else is perfect stylistically. For example, the fantastic score. I can't be the only one bothered by this, or am I? LOL.
I love it. I like old stuff like that, though.
Yeah, I feel like it fits the aesthetic of the TVA. You know,
It's all that 1970s, like, static.
The one from the trailer is really cool, and I think it is cool to get you hyped, but I think this one fits the, like you're saying, the static of the show, like the 70s vibe.
yeah.
Didn't bother me.
Yeah, Sophie continues, now the real reason I wanted to write in. Jeff, a few episodes back, I heard you say you wanted to be a voice actor, but you ended up not pursuing it because you hate the sound of your voice. And I was absolutely shook. You don't understand how much I love your voice. Like, this is going to sound weird, but it's actually so attractive to me. Should I start a voice thirst club? You gotta understand, your actual voice is never going to live up to the voice in your head. Just deal with it. Honestly, love you all so much from your discussions. I can tell how great people you seem to be. And I have to agree with whoever said Ashley is the best thing that happened to this podcast. It was already my favorite MCU pod before, but now it's the one I'll always prioritize over all others on my feed. I listen to a lot of podcasts, by the way. The Matt, Jeff, and Ashley trio just gives me life. Your humor and discussions are the best in the multiverse. Love you all 300. Sophia from Portugal.
300?
Yeah, just 300. Let's see. P.S. Can we agree that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is undoubtedly canon, thanks to Sylvie? I gotta give props to our Loki, too, for killing Phil Coulson, therefore being the reason why we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first place. It remains my favorite MCU show. I don't think that'll ever change, because the character arcs of those 7 seasons and the level of attachment I got to them will probably never be topped. Oh god, this is probably way too long, but I never wrote you an email before, so forgive me, maybe? Bye.
You're forgiven. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks for writing in. And
I think it's Sophia.
Everybody else. Oh, is it Sophia?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Sophia. Everybody else, like, join her voice thirst club for Jeff. Let us know if you find Jeff's voice sexy.
No, we shouldn't do that.
I'm good.
Jeff
good with
would
them
love
not doing that. Like, let's just. It feels it's awkward. It's awkward right now.
Let me ask Julie what she thinks.
I asked her what she thinks, and she didn't tell me anything. She just kind of looked at me like, "What?" And I was like, "I know, right? It's weird." Please tell me you agree with her.
That's good. No. But I definitely think that we can say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon in the MCM.
Yeah, in the MCM.
Multiverse.
Sure.
And, if you want to start a voice thirst club, I can't stop you. I mean, that's not something I have any control of.
He wants it, guys. Do it.
Will that make you feel better about getting last bill?
No. I'm literally never actually upset about that. I just like to stir the shit pot sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I stir the shit pot every time, you guys. Come on.
Oh, that's stirring the... Oh, okay. I never got it.
All right. Listen to Ashley on her own podcast when she goes off on her own.
Did you want me to put that as a voice memo?
Huh?
Anyway, plowing forward.
Steve Maloney says, Jeff, that's an Australian accent you were doing. Your Scottish wasn't bad, though. This is so hard to follow. Hi, Jeff, Ashley, Jeff, Matt, and Jeff. Did I get Jeff's name in the right place?
Oh, God, not enough.
Yes. Yeah. He says, I love you guys, love your work, love the community you've created. Okay, Loki. I really did not like the kiss. The idea of self-love is lovely, but learning to like who you are and consider yourself worthy of love and respect from others is a big part of finding peace and happiness. And I found that Sylvie and Loki looking to each other and seeing their potential to be better versions of themselves really moving. The physical act of self-love can also be beautiful, but I don't want to watch somebody do it on Disney Plus, you know? I flinched every time they leaned in during episodes 1 through 5, and I found their kiss pretty icky in the finale. Tom and Sophia had really lovely chemistry, and I wonder if that pushed that story further than the script originally intended. Also, after JLD and now Kang, Marvel seems to be keeping progressively bigger secrets. Almost like they're perfecting their secret-keeping techniques. I've thought it for a while now, but I'm certain now when Chris Evans comes back, we're not going to know about it until we see him in the movie theaters. That's going to be Phase 4's Mjolnir Avengers Assemble moment. I cannot remember having my mind as blown by anything as that Loki finale, and I cannot wait to experience what comes next in the MCU with you guys. Love you, 3,000 Kangs.
It's funny.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think Chris Evans is going to come back yet, though.
I hope it's not for a while.
Ouch.
Well, we'll see what happens with his directing career.
Yeah, he wants to get behind the camera, so we'll see how that plays out.
It's not that I don't want Chris Evans back. I would love to have Chris Evans back. I think he's one of my favorites in the MCU, but
there's so many other stories to tell, and it feels like we got this one all wrapped up in a nice, pretty...
And it's like, at least if stuff starts to like go off the rails and content's not good, they can go be like, here's all the money, please come back.
Yeah.
I just, if he's going to come back, I want it to be meaningful, and it's more meaningful the more time he's away. So like give it a year or two at least.
Yeah.
Like have him show up in like a multiversal thing would be awesome. It's a perfect time to bring him back right now with the multiverse. Same thing with Tony, but like give it a minute. Like let us deal with the new Avengers and then have them come back for whatever the big crossover event where whatever the multiverse is coming together to fight off these Kangs. Like it'd be awesome if a different Tony and a different Chris came in, you know?
Right.
Oh man, what if the Marvel Zombies thing that we saw in the What If trailer, like where we saw Zombie Cap, what if the Bucky that was against him there was like the Bucky from the current actual timeline, and the zombie was just like a reanimated Steve, and he's like, you're sullying the name of Steve Rogers, and like he remembers Steve Rogers going away and coming back as old man. Like, if Steve is away long enough for that to happen, rather, if Steve is away, things like that can happen. Like we get the fight for the shield and Fatwas, and who gets to take up the mantle of Captain America, like who carries on the name. But then you've also got like, you know, what if a wizard or whatever like reanimates this, you know, I'm sorry, warlock, necromancer, if you will. What if a necromancer reanimates the long dead corpse of Steve Rogers, and like obviously that's going to put bad taste in some people's mouths in, you know, the current timeline. They're not going to like that at all, especially Bucky, especially Falcon. Like, not Falcon, Sam Wilson, the Captain America. It's hard. I've known him for years as Falcon now. But like, they're not going to like that. So like, conflict, right? Conflict.
Right.
Give me it.
Indeed.
I know you got it in there, Marvel. Give
us all the conflict. Lie to us and give us conflict. That's what we want.
Lie to me and show me fights.
All right, we're going to take a short break and come back for some live feedback. All that right after this ad we have no control over. And we're back.
Yay.
Yay. What you got in the live chat there, Ashley?
It's your turn to read.
Yep. Miss Carol Denver says, why didn't the TVA stop Wanda? Obviously, I guess they wouldn't want her to do that. They would have stopped her, is what they're trying to say. But is Wanda's hex too powerful and the TVA not able to get there? And if they were, why would the TVA want Wanda to do that and keep all those people hostage?
That's a good question. Why would the TVA want to let Wanda's hex happen?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
Maybe they couldn't see it.
Well, in the grand scheme, is that really that important for the timeline?
There were runes around the town.
It could have just been what was supposed to happen up till then, up till that moment. There's no multiverse stuff happening there. She's creating her own reality, but that all could be on the sacred timeline. The TVA is not trying to fix things that go bad as we think about it.
Right.
They're just doing things that
don't fit the line of events that lead to this guy being in charge.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't matter to him.
Yeah. Right. A lot of people wrote in why did they let Thanos happen? And it's
because they already said that was supposed to happen.
They're not God.
They're not God. They're not benevolent. The TVA is just a servant of the winner of the multiverse war. They're not good. Now that she's reaching out into the multiverse, clearly based on the book she's reading and based on the magic is showing all those multiple worlds, then they would probably get involved.
They're like, hey, whoa.
At this point, the TVA has been too disrupted.
Yeah.
It's back to multiverse time.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. TJ Stafford says, don't care what else happens in Quantum Mania as long as we have Luis explaining the multiverse.
Oh, yeah. He's the boss.
I would love that.
Okay.
As we've said over and over, we want Luis to explain everything.
Yeah. We need a recap of all of the events leading up to the movie that we're about to go watch by Luis. We need him to recap everything. He's like, all right. Here's the story so far. Mm-hmm. And then just lay it out.
All right. Live and La Vida Loki says, is the TVA equipped with a reset button that Miss Minutes is able to alert people to, like Runslayer?
It seems like something is going on with resetting their minds and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know who controls that. It does seem like Runslayer has more information than other people, but not all the information. So until now, I guess maybe He Who Remains told her the truth, or maybe a different Kang. Where did Renslayer go? We haven't really discussed that, but where did Renslayer go?
That's the question: is where did Renslayer go? But also, what information did she receive? Because she said, this isn't what I was looking for. Miss Minutes said he thinks this will help more. Mm-hmm. So was He Who Remains giving her information to go somewhere on the timeline and hide something under a rock to give to herself later so that she would discover how everything is working and be able to tear it all down? Is she going to be the hero next season?
Hope so.
Because she's got this information. She's going to show up like Janet did in Ant-Man and the Wasp, all rugged, battle-hardened and everything's I got to fight this multiversal war. Is that what she's doing now?
I hope so.
I have no idea. I just don't even know what Miss Minutes saying that the he that Miss Minutes is referring to seems to maybe have been a different he in at the Citadel, right? Because she's saying he wants to offer you to go to the timeline, and then when they meet He Who Remains, he says, "Oh, is she still calling me that or whatever?" But maybe he's lying. Maybe they're setting free this prisoner version. Maybe there's a different Kang that's also running the TVA.
Or maybe maybe that sequence of events of her offering that deal is part of the dance that this guy has set up for however long relative to him.
Absolutely. Maybe it's, as we discussed, I think last episode, like maybe that's her getting them in the right headspace to be resistant to the offer he's about to make them. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Got
Any more?
2. Gustav III says, speaking of Throg, why wasn't he able to summon Mjolnir? Is he not capable of doing that?
Good question. Is Throg not worthy?
Throg is worthy.
Does he have a little frog one?
Does he have a little frog-sized one?
Well, no, there was a Mjolnir right next to him, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he summon it to break the glass and destroy all the...
It's too big. It doesn't fit hand size, you know?
Can't
put it in his mouth.
Magic works there. I was about to say, does magic not work there? But magic works there.
I saw a lot of magic.
Yeah, exactly. I was just trying to think, like, why couldn't it work? But yeah, I don't know. That's a really good point. Maybe this is for Throg what Thor 1 was for our Thor. This is his like moment where he's not worthy.
Yeah, like maybe he's not necessarily always worthy, especially in the comics. Maybe this particular Throg got pruned because he wasn't worthy at the time. Like this Throg that we saw did something bad and became unworthy.
Yeah. Paul says that we learn from Thor 1 that not all Thors are worthy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got, it's not a Lee Port frog. Sorry. I like the first one.
Jane Frogster. I like that one.
Jane Frogster. That's nice.
So like this Throg that we saw got pruned because he wasn't worthy and didn't regain his worthiness like he was supposed to. So the whole thing just got scrapped, right? Mm-hmm. So there has to be a point in Thor's history where he did get turned into a frog but regained his worthiness, which is why that was in the play in Thor Ragnarok. When Loki said, "Do you remember that time I turned you into a frog? I'm sorry." And he's like, "Oh no, that was hilarious." That's got to be it. We solved it, you guys. That's why he got pruned.
A lot of headcanon for.
Nope, I fixed it.
The Throg.
Nope, it's laid out right in front of you, Matt. I don't know why you can't just pick it up.
I'm not worthy, clearly.
Last comment. Voice Inject says, will Loki allow himself to love again? He's got a me,
I'm
baby.
never gonna love again.
Guilty feet got no rhythm. I think he's a sucker. In the end, he's a softie. He's a big old softie.
He thinks with his heart first.
Now, he was so much hotter when he was just a brooder killer. He had so much more like pizzazz. Mm-hmm. Somebody who was watching the show is like, what I didn't like about the show was like what they did with Loki's character. Like he's like a muff by the end was his terms, not mine. That was his. And it's like, I guess I kind of see that from like coming, but we just, we all know the evolution of him as, being so involved with these stories. But I could see from the outside, you're like expecting like Loki. And you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people did feel that way. I mean, like that Loki is too different from the Loki that we've known. But
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think
I don't think so either.
I think this just illuminates the character of Loki from the past, that he wasn't really the badass he pretended to be.
Yeah, it was just all a show.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always been a show.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to be back in a couple days with some Black Widow feedback. Finally, rounding that up. And we'll do some more Loki feedback next week. We're probably going to just have weeks of talking about this show and what it means and where it's going. And we'll even hold on to some of the feedback that we have left, because there's just so many of you guys wanted to get your thoughts in. And we just got to as many as we could today. But we'll be back next week with more. Again, patreon.com/MCUcast if you want to join the Patreon and all those good things. Check us out at strandedpanda.com. Find all our other podcasts. Anything you guys want to plug?
Already plugged at podcastawards.com.
Oh, yeah.
Go there and put us down for a nomination for
TV and film
TV and film and People's
favorites.
Choice.
People's choice. Yeah.
And then obviously say that Matthew Carroll is the most influential podcaster in your life when it asks you that question.
Yeah, sure. Do that. I will. It's so ridiculous that I would be the most influential podcaster that I will campaign for that. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm the most influential podcaster. You know
We could do it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.